here in Wisconsin. Trying to chase one down. Wisconsin update. I didn't get much sleep last night, so I've been just wore out. I was falling asleep while I was walking a while ago, so I got me a little nap. I just made me a big loop back here. Some pretty woods. Saw a hen. Called, never heard anything, so I came back. I need to go check another spot I got in mind, but I'm getting hungry. And I've had this darn bologna in this cooler for the whole time I've been driving and been meaning to cook it, so guess I'm gonna make me a fried bologna sandwich. Burnt that bread a little bit again. I had to turn my fire up hotter than I wanted because I got a strong breeze coming in. Had a leak. This gobbler was back in the woods from the corner of this field, probably 100 yards or a little more. On my way to him, I bumped two hens out of the tree right on the edge of the field that I didn't know were there. Of course, they flew right to him. He gobbled sparingly after that, so I sat up in the corner of this field and waited. I figured they'd be out in this field at some point. I don't use mosquito spray very often. The thermocell usually does the trick, but Wisconsin mosquitoes were some of the worst I encountered anywhere. Once this gobbler got on the ground with his hens, he was very reluctant to gobble. He wouldn't answer crows. I had done some soft stuff on my mouth call, but he never answered it. I decided to get my box out and try to build him up to get excited. It worked. Several minutes went by and I started hearing the gobbler drumming off to my left, getting closer. It's probably 80 yards if I had to guess. I started hearing footsteps behind me. I got real still and just waited. Footsteps kept getting closer and closer. You can hear them if you listen close. Now these footsteps are getting pretty heavy with some heavy breathing mixed in. Really wasn't sure if a bear was slipping up on me or what. It was coming up straight behind me and a little to the right. Can't see it yet, but there's a pretty good buck just to my right. He don't have his antlers, but he's a big body, kind of gray looking deer. He's about 3 steps from me. The gobbler's still drumming off to the left, getting closer. This GoPro don't do it justice. This deer's about 2 steps from me. Turns out it was about 5 or 6 deer together. Luckily for me, they never blew and continued on up the field. Now that we passed that test, we can get back to business. Another gobbler had gotten fired up in the distance and started gobbling pretty good, so I started calling to him, trying to make the one close to me jealous. And that's about the time my battery died. Unfortunately, these things happen sometimes. I'll pick up the action when I got a new battery back in about 10 minutes later. Well, Wisconsin got it done. I could hear that bird drumming right there to my left. He was close. When I was coming in, came down that wood line, he was gobbling somewhere in this corner. He had roosted in that big oak, another one behind it, and I bumped them out. I didn't know they were there. They flew that way. So I just called a little bit as I was walking in, maybe to settle him down. When I got right over there, about that big tree, I was calling, and he gave me a delayed gobble just to let me know, like, I'm in here. When he did, he was in the woods right there. So I went and sat up on that corner. I called sparingly. I got my box and kind of did a series. We start out slow and kind of build it up to a yelp, and when I did, he gobbled at it, and then I hit him again, and he gobbled, and that's when he came in and got close drumming. And somewhere in there, turkeys flew up in trees. I don't know if they were pitching across a creek or what, but they were in trees about 50 yards from me. I don't think he was. I kept hearing grunting behind me, and I'm like, is this a bear? You know, coming through here? I never dealt with bears, but it sounded like a bear just breathing heavy. Turns out it was deer, and they were like right behind me, and you can probably see it on camera, but I had 3 come out beside me, and I think 1 or 2 came from across the field, but the dudes came out at like, somebody just shot. Dudes came out at like 10 steps. It was a small buck, and then one of them was an older buck. But they got curious, and the older buck ended up getting about probably a step or a step and a half from me. I could hear every sound it was making, and it you know, I mean, they finally kind of got suspicious and came out into the field, which I'm glad they did. I didn't want them to blow because I think they would have ruined it, but I could still hear him drumming. So I just started picking at him with my mouth call, and not really trying to make him gobble, just picking at him, making it sound like I was a hen in this corner. I got my box, and I went back and forth, and that's one thing y'all see me, I just shot again. One thing y'all see me do a lot is use 2 calls, and that's, you know, whether that's just me using a box and a mouth call, or whether that's me calling somebody else. I always think it's good to sweeten the pot for them. That's what I say. I mean, you know, a lot of times back home, you got to call them across a creek or a river or something, and a lot of times they don't want to come unless you sweeten that pot. I mean, if they can hear 2 hens, I mean, that's a lot better than 1 hen. So he had hens with him. That must have been the ones I spooked out of the tree, but I had a pretty good hide. I had a big top behind me. I'll show you in a second. And I was right behind a tree, so I couldn't really see down the wood line. There she is. I stepped on her. Smashed it. I don't know where I was at on my spiel there, but so I'm sitting against this tree right here, and I could hear him drumming over and over and over and over, and I didn't know if he was going to circle behind me, or if I anticipated him stepping out right up here about 30 yards, and I'm like this. So I can't see over here. I can lean out and I can see it, but I'm sitting here and I hear what I think is a putt that way. And I said, oh crap. So he done walked out and seen me or something. 2 hens walked out up there, and they were sitting there looking, and it wasn't a putt like I've mistaken for many times. I mean, can't panic, but it was just like a searching cluck. Like, all right, I know I heard you hens in here, where you at? So one of the hens started coming to me a little bit, and I'm sitting there and just looking up the field. There he appears. Almost where I thought he would, but I guess he was further. He was within gun range. He was probably 40 or 50. He stepped out, and instead of just kind of coming straight across like I hoped he would, or drifting down the hill my way a little bit, strutting, every time he strutted, he was facing up the hill, and he veered away the first few steps he took. Started following that hen up the hill, and I said, it's decision-making time. But he went down, and he started flopping, and that's why I took off like Usain Bolt, but like a really slow version of Usain Bolt. Heck of a hunt, man. Like always, it's always about the about the story and how it unfolds. And I'm sorry I didn't have the barrel camera on. Something's going. I've dropped the ball on it. Anyways, the GoPro hopefully got something. I'm gonna take some pictures. I'm gonna go talk to my buddy. I'm gonna go talk to my other buddy, and then I'm gonna roll on probably to Minnesota. It's been a good trip so far.